Whispers from the abyss. Curiosity didn't just kill the cat, it propelled the mermaid, especially a mermaid like Coralia. While her podmates practiced intricate braiding techniques with strands of bioluminescent kelp, a pop culture craze sweeping the mer realm, Coralia's mind was in the trench. The Challenger Deep called to her, a siren song of the unknown. "Your braids are a mess, Coralia," teased Finn, his own hair woven with polished abalone shells. "You're always poking around in the murk. What's down there but pressure and gloom?" "Answers," Coralia replied simply, her tail a shimmer of sapphire and silver flicking impatiently. "To questions we haven't even thought to ask." Her chance came during the Great Thermohaline Migration. As billions of creatures rode the ocean's conveyor belt, a strange, localized current diverted, whispering secrets of a hidden geothermal vent. Coralia, armed with nothing but a luminescent pearl and reckless wonder, followed. The water grew cold, then strangely warm. The pressure was immense, but then she saw it, a pulse of soft, azure light from a sheer cliff face. It wasn't a geological formation, it was a chest. Barnacles crusted its surface, but beneath them gleamed mother-of-pearl inlays forming swirling constellations unknown to human or merfolk. It hummed the same melody she'd heard in her dreams. With trembling hands, she brushed away sediment. The chest had no lock, but as her fingers traced the constellations, they shifted and realigned with a soft click. The lid opened, not with a creak, but a harmonious chord that vibrated through her bones. Inside, resting on a bed of eternal white sand, were 12 scrolls. They were not papyrus or vellum, but a flexible pearlescent material that seemed woven from moonlight and water. They glowed, they hummed, and they were utterly, breathtakingly alien. Unfurling the lore. Echoes in the watery cathedral. The pod gathered in the cathedral spires, a natural amphitheater of towering glass sponges that filtered the sun into divine golden rays. The elders, their hair long and braided with the history of 1,000 tides, watched with skeptical eyes as Coralia and her friends carefully unfurled the first scroll. The language wasn't linear. It was a symphony of bioluminescent dots, swirling glyphs that resembled dancing fish and shifting coral polyps, and intricate diagrams that moved as you looked at them. It was part scripture, part scientific manual, part ancient AI whisper preserved in organic silica. Finn, his pop culture brain buzzing, gasped. "Whoa! It's like an underwater tablet. But what does it say?" As they deciphered, their world turned upside down. The tales were hauntingly familiar, yet fantastically adapted. The Garden of Lumina. Not a terrestrial paradise, but a pristine, bioluminescent reef where the first mer-souls were breathed from sacred hydrothermal vents. The forbidden frond wasn't an apple, but a venomous, hypnotic sea fern that promised knowledge but delivered paralysis. The tidal cleansing. A cataclysmic event not of rain, but of a sudden, global overturning of the oceans, where toxic abyssal gases rose, and the Ark was a gargantuan, symbiotic colony of whales, giant squid, and coral that preserved the essence of all marine life. The Coral Shepherd. A wise, wandering orca who taught the scattered mer tribes songs of unity and navigation, who faced a beast of pure consuming hunger, a legendary leviathan, not with a sling, but with a song of such perfect resonance it calmed the creature's rage. "These are our stories," whispered Elder Maris, her voice cracking. "Fragments I heard from my great-grandmer, tales of the before time. We thought them myths, but here is the canticle of the currents, the lost song of how the moons pull our tides. It's an eco-restoration parable about maintaining balance. The merfolk renaissance and the deep-sea tech threat." News of the lost books of the deep spread faster than a dolphin's sonar. A renaissance ignited. Mer artists painted glorious murals of the Garden of Lumina on whalefall bones. Musicians composed new harmonies based on the Scroll of Sonic Harmony. Scientists, or current readers, used the hydrological maps in the Tome of the Thermocline to heal sick coral reefs, a direct, actionable eco-parable for their time. But light attracts shadows. The scroll's unique energy signature, a low-frequency pulse, began drawing unwanted attention. A colossal, blind Greenland shark, mutated by centuries and drawn by the hum, attacked the temporary vault. Worse, a sleek metallic object, a human deep-sea drone, silently observed from the gloom, its red camera eye unblinking. The pain point was immediate. The sacred was under threat from both ancient nature and modern human curiosity. The merfolk faced their dilemma. The air breathers seek knowledge, but they also bring the choke plastic and the warming waters, argued Elder Maris. Would they see wisdom or a resource to extract? Coralia, however, remembered a line from the Scroll of the Coral Shepherd. A reef divided by suspicion is easily eroded. True guardianship requires both the strength of the mantle and the transparency of the surface. The Library of the Tides and the Braided Legacy. A daring plan was born. They wouldn't hide the scrolls, they would build a fortress of learning around them. Using the ancient principles in the texts, they bioengineered a library of the tides. On a massive, stable seamount, they coaxed fast-growing, hyper-resilient coral into forming vaulted reading chambers, secure archive nooks, and grand halls. The scrolls were placed in the central chamber, housed in living filtering clams that kept the water pure and sang a protective, ultrasonic lullaby. The library's guardians were chosen from every tribe, identifiable by their complex, signature braids, woven with rare materials, black smoker ore, migratory pearl, resilient deep-sea fiber symbolizing the unity of all ocean layers. Coralia's braid, of course, held a fragment of the first luminescent pearl she'd carried. The human drone returned, escorted this time by a pod of curious but tense merfolk warriors. Instead of attacking a guardian, her hands open swam to the drone and placed a single cultured pearl before its lens. Inside the pearl, magnified by its layers, was a single beautiful glyph from the scrolls, the symbol for sanctuary. It was a message, an invitation to respect, not to take. Beyond the pages, hints in the abyssal plain. The lost books became the soul of a new Mer civilization. But the final scroll, the Vellum of the Void, held a tantalizing cliffhanger. It wasn't a story, but a map. A star chart, but for the ocean floor, pointing to coordinates scattered across the globe, the underwater ruins of a megalithic city near the Marianas Trench, a sealed volcanic vent in the mid-Atlantic ridge, and, shockingly, a freshwater aquifer deep beneath a desert, labeled the Sister Keepers of the Dry Deep. The shocking new discovery hinted that their aquatic civilization was not alone, that the biblical echoes, the floods, the gardens, the shepherds, were perhaps universal truths, expressed by different choirs of creation across the planet. Were there Earth dwellers who had discovered similar libraries of the sand? Was humanity's own Bible a fractured, land-based echo of a primal planetary history? Mermaids reveal truth not just about the past, but about an interconnected tapestry of life they were only just beginning to perceive. The story ends with Coralia and Finn, their braids now symbols of scholarly rank, hovering over the star map scroll. "The dry deep?" Finn murmured, pop culture references flashing. "You think there are desert mermaids? Or something crazier?" Coralia grinned, her eyes reflecting the scroll's boundless light. "The Coral Shepherd's song says every story needs its next verse. Ready to write ours?" The Library of the Tides, a glowing jewel in the deep, as diverse merfolk swim in and out, learning, debating, protecting. The camera pulls back through the crushing darkness up towards the shimmering surface, hinting at the two worlds, sea and land, on the brink of a shared, unimaginable revelation. Biblical secrets unlocked? Not just unlocked, recontextualized. Imagine a world where every ecosystem holds a volume of the greatest story ever told. This is just the first chapter. Subscribe, hit the bell, and dive with us next time as we explore the Sand Singers of Sinai. Did humans miss the full revelation? The adventure is just beginning.